These are the type of videos I've always been waiting to put out. There's a lot of misinformation in this sport and fans don't really know what's going on. Some are quick to speculate and spread far out conspiracies. So for this edition, let's cover this topic. This week, Davis is fighting his first fight at lightweight. Besides the chance of having trouble making super feather being an issue for future fights, due to Davis putting on quite a bit of weight in between fights, I'm going to review two of the real reasons why Davis was ultimately forced to move to lightweight. Boxing politics with networks, promotions, and belt organizations is an absolute mess. Davis is part of PBC, Showtime, Heyman, Mayweather Promotions. They would like to try and keep things in-house as much as possible because there is more wealth to split and less negotiating to be made for a fight deal. With that being said, there was a serious lack of opponents for Davis. If you look at the rankings, which has not changed much at all at the start of the year 2019, there was not a single fighter in the top 10 rankings that had any association where they can cross the politically divided lines and fight them. All the top fighters in the rankings that will be a meaningful matchup for Davis to give him more notoriety are all with Top Rank, Golden Boy Promotions, Matchroom Sport, Taken Promotions, who is partnered with Golden Boy, and Top Rank, Main Events, and Zonfer Promotions, who is also partnered with Golden Boy and Top Rank. They all have either network deals with DAZN or ESPN, where they freely cross-promote and fight each other's stable, pretty much isolated from the whole division. Davis couldn't get the fights he wanted. It's not just Davis, there are plenty of other fighters who are stuck in the same political crossfire. This is just a good current example. So this is what the network tried doing in their last ditch effort to give Davis some big fights at Super Feather. At this point in 2019, Davis had not fought a top-ranked opponent since Jose Pedraza and Liam Walsh in 2017, which I'm not entirely sure Walsh was top 10 ranked. The network got fighters in weight classes below Davis's weight class to fight him. First of those guys was Hugo Ruiz. Ruiz, who started his career at super flyweight, his best days were at bantamweight, but he was a former world champion that has an attractive record, so it's an easy promotion for the network, as well as Davis's mandatory, who is undefeated, but he wasn't ranked in the top 10. Off topic, but why does this matter here? That mainly has to do with Davis's online presence. If you're going to call out guys like Vasil Lomachenko, who is fighting top 10 ranked mandatory opponents, and unifying belts, but the guys that you are being matched with are not on that level, that doesn't help you in the online battle. You have no juice. Back on this topic here, Showtime tried setting up Davis with Gary Russell Jr., and I find it hilarious how Jim Gray tried baiting Gary into talking about this matchup. I applaud Gary for this because most fight fans didn't know these rules and how ridiculous a question this is. Jim knows it's ridiculous, but the people at home don't know. And Jim is banking on Russell to be your stereotypical boxer and not know that side of the sport besides the combat aspect and make him look bad. Hate him or love him, Gary is possibly one of the smartest active boxers in the game right now when it comes to the business and political end of the sport. He plays the game and doesn't let the game play him. He follows all the rules to a T. He does his minimum one mandatory title defense while waiting for the right moment to unify the belts and make a big payday. With that being said, Russell is asked about fighting Gervonta Davis when Russell wants to unify and become the man at featherweight against Leo Santa Cruz. Gary, being as smart as he is, didn't waste any time. He dropped straight knowledge on Gray. Russell is with the WBC. Davis is with the WBA at another weight class. There is way too many hoops to jump for a fight like that to be made because Russell is not in the WBA rankings in that weight class. Russell mentions that and the rules when it comes to that. He can only move up or down and fight the WBC champion in that weight class and no one else. Then mentions it will be easier to make a fight happen with Miguel Berchelt, the WBC super featherweight champion, than Davis. In order for that fight to be made, Davis would have to fight one mandatory opponent or pay him to step aside. Russell has to fight someone in the top 10 WBA rankings and then you can make that fight happen. That's too much work and so much can go wrong. In such an awful position because at this moment, due to politics, this is holding up his career. He is now 25 years old, and it's time for real big moves to be made. The title belt rules that I told you about before, Davis vacated his WBA super featherweight title and moved up to lightweight, where he is fighting for the vacant WBA lightweight belt. Career-wise, this is a great move. Politically, there are plenty of meaningful fights that can be made for Davis, all while promotions and networks can come to terms to setting him up for a super fight against fighters that will make Davis a superstar in and outside the sport. I know everyone wants him to see a fight against Loma, but that's not going to happen for a hot minute because of these politically divided lines. In the meantime, Davis has great lineups for potential opponents that will give him a lot of stock, clout, and the whole shebang. You got Tagoe, Fortuna, Robert Easter, Rancis Barthelemy. It's 4 fights, 2 years of quality Davis opponents. The Gamboa fight will hopefully be the last fight we see him fight a guy who is not in the top 10 ranks, and their better days were 2 weight classes below. I'm expecting the fight to be entertaining, but Davis will knock this man into the shadow realm. This matchup couldn't be any more stylistically in Davis's favor to shine and make an official but unofficial lightweight debut. And on top of that, if you want more videos like these, be sure to like, and if you're new, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram for more video updates, memes, boxing news, boxing politics, whatever. I'm Office Honcho, and I'm out.